we're back in Mordor, or at least our Mordor travel brochure. So we're working on a travel brochure, and what I want to cover in this particular episode is I want to cover creating a nav bar, but I also haven't finished a couple extra items in the article and the footer. So I'm going to start with that, and then we'll talk nav bar. First of all, your article class of content, this is where all of your code is going to go. So I'm going to actually add a comment to help you out. Now on the comment here, by the way, ignore what it did there. That wasn't supposed to be it. All right, on a comment, you start with the exclamation mark and 2 dashes, and then you put your comment in here. It's for you to read in your code, but the browser will ignore it. So what we're going to do here is I just want to give you a note, is that's just that place all your content in here, which is why we called it content in the first place, right? And in your content, what we're referring here, or I'll put instead of here, below, okay? And in fact, we can even, yeah, and so what I mean by content is we're talking about both images and text, and anything else that we may do. Okay, so at the end of the article, I'm just going to note as a comment, oops, sorry. For our comment, we're just going to put on here and content. Okay. This is a very common thing you're going to see in other websites, especially in templates and things. They'll put little comments as just kind of a guide to help you go, oh yeah, we're going to put some information here or whatever. And this tells us that the content is over. Okay. So when you work on your own travel brochure and you start gathering your tags and you put content in there and you start doing stuff, put it all in between that opening comment and the bottom comment, and then that's your guide. It's just a way to remember. So your to-do list is to put in your subtopics and other things here. So I'm just going to add another subtopic here. And then finally, just we're going to add just a little bit of content just to kind of mock it up so it looks like one. And honestly, what you're going to do, not only are you going to place your content here, but you're going to, if you're following along and you're doing what I'm doing and you're putting subtopic 1, subtopic 2, you're going to eventually just either like change the text in here, or you're just going to delete everything in here and replace it, okay? For now, we're just going to keep it like this. We're going to add a couple paragraphs, and we're going to use a little bit of lorem ipsum. And I don't recall if I've covered that with you before, but it's just a way of putting some text in there so that it looks like it's a real website and it really has content, but in actuality it's all in Latin, and it's a very common thing you may see in a lot of places. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a window here. I'm going to go to HTML ipsum. It's HTML ipsum, IPSUM.com, and there's a little dash there. And all you have to do is Google lorem ipsum, and you'll find a ton of this kind of stuff. As you see here, we have long paragraphs, medium paragraphs, one sentence, unordered lists, different lengths of list, ordered list, forms, tables. We got a lot going on here. What we're going to do, I'm just going to grab a sentence each. So I'm going to click on here, and it's going to copy it to the clipboard. And then I'm going to paste it in. So I'm just going to paste that, hit enter, paste that, and there we go. So the only reason why I'm doing this is just so we can see what it might look like as we start adding content. I'm going to save my changes. One more thing I want to do is I want to make this a hyperlink. Okay, so to make it a hyperlink, we're going to stick this inside of an anchor tag. And the way that you make it a hyperlink with a mail link is you write mail to, and you put a colon, and now you can make that an email link. And so I'm just going to put admin@100visions.com, which is my website, by the way. And then I just have to move 100 Visions guy. I'm going to stick it right inside of the link, and there we have it. And this is for copyright symbol. Let's save our changes. Let's see what this looks like, and then we'll make sure there's no errors. Launch in Chrome. There's my page. Not very exciting, right? There's not a lot going on there. But if I click on here, it's going to open up email. And then you can see there's the copyright sign. All right, so I'm going to let that open up. See, Microsoft Office Outlook. And I don't really have Outlook configured. I use a web-based one, but I just wanted to show you that. Okay, we have one more thing. What we're going to do now is we're going to create a navigation bar. But we're only going to do the HTML structure. We'll have to wait for a later tutorial to cover the CSS for that. But you can find a lot of examples online. In fact, there's lots of ones where they're just already done for you. We're going to put the nav bar in between the header and the article. Now, we're going to do that mainly because that it's its own sort of element. And also, we're going to do it like some people will actually put a nav bar inside the header, and that's appropriate. In our case, we don't need to do that, so we're just going to place it right here. So this is going to be the nav tag, like so. And the other thing about the navigation bar is if you had more than one nav bar, maybe you had a sidebar and you wanted to have a navigation bar for something like favorite links or something like that. And then you might have one nav bar that's all your main pages. You might also have another nav bar that's like the main parts of your site, maybe like a search widget or about us or whatever. You may end up with more than one nav. If you do that, I recommend you give each nav its own unique class, and that way you're saying this is a special kind of nav. Now, because we're keeping it simple, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to leave it as a nav. But if you want to add a class, you do it like you did for article right here, and you'd give it an appropriate name. And of course, I would probably call this one the main nav, so I'd probably put nav class equals main. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to create a navigation bar, which is really just a way of getting around your site. And we do that through hyperlinks. So what we're going to do is we're going to organize our hyperlinks in an unordered list. This is probably the most common way to do a nav bar. And I've seen several other variations of this. I've seen people put them inside of a paragraph tag, and I've seen people put them inside of an ordered list. But in our case, we're going to do an unordered list. It is the most common out there that you will see. And it's really, we are listing out links. So we're just going to create UL, LI, and then we're going to add our links here. Now, we don't have our site built yet. We only have one page so far. And so the question becomes, do we make all of our pages and then create the nav bar, or do we create the nav bar and then make the pages? It is the classic chicken versus the egg. Well, I'm going to make it the egg first. So I'm going to make the nav bar as if we were going to populate this whole site. So now's the time to think about what are you going to have in your navigation bar. In our case, in our class, we're doing a minimum of 4 pages. And one of the pages should be the home page. That is, we're going to use this page for the home page, by the way. So I'm going to write index.html like so. And that's because that's the name of this file. And then now I've got the hyperlink, and I'm just going to write home inside. Okay. And then now I have to think about what are my other pages going to be. Okay. And so one of the things we might do, now this sounds really silly, but I'm going to give you just a ton of different possible ways you could break up your travel brochure. You could do like nightlife. Look what I do here. I call it nightlife.html. You could call it night-life like that. Or you could capitalize the L in nightlife. It's up to you how you want to do it. Whatever you do, just keep it simple. It could also just be one word. Nightlife. And then don't forget to finish the tag. Okay, so I'm just going to go and just keep doing that for the rest of my tags here. And I might have one about high adventure. So I might call it adventure. Because I can imagine Mordor, they have a lot of, it's really for the adrenaline junkie, right? Yeah. Maybe we'll have one about Mount Doom. Visit Mount Doom. And, well, I couldn't remember the name of Sauron's tower, so I had to look it up, and it's Barad-dûr with that weird little thing on the U, which brings us to a possible new topic, which is a thing called HTML entities. While I'm on it, let's just cover it. HTML entities is how you do symbols. And so if you go to HTML entities, do not do the W3 schools. They don't show you all of them. Do the reference chart. This is a much better one. And so we're looking for the U with the weird thing over it. And so I will try to find it. But if you notice here, you can see a symbol, and it will tell you the code for doing it, like copyright right there. Or you can give it a number like this, or like so. So you look for the symbol you're trying to get, and you find it on here. I believe it's this is what we're looking for, that little symbol. So you create a letter, and then you write circ, which honestly I don't even know what that is. So I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to go back to my code. This is so specific to what we're doing. And of course, Barad-dûr. Don't try symbols on your file names. Bad idea. But for display purposes, and now look what I did here. I'm going to put U, circ, like that, and the letter R. And let's double check how we did it on the web page. It has a dash, so we'll put a dash on there. Barad-dûr. Okay, let's save my changes. Let's see if that worked. Oh, I'm going to go back here. Hey, it worked, see? Zoom in on that. Yeah, that's that little symbol. All right, so HTML entities. Now, if you look here, there's my navigation bar. Pretty boring, right? Well, we're going to, in a later one, where I'll show you how to take that and turn it into a nice-looking nav bar. But if you see here, and I'm just going to end at this point, if you can see, we've got our list of links. Now, I haven't created Nightlife or Adventure or Doom or Barad-dûr, but we will do that because we're going to take all of this code and we're going to use it to make all of the other pages. And we'll do that in the next installment. For now, I just want to review one thing here, and that is in your file names, keep them really tight. Keep them short and to the point. No more than 2 words put together. Also, no more than 2 words on your nav bar. Keep it short, keep it succinct and to the point. And of course, Nightlife is a little bit on the silly side, but you can have some fun with that. So anyways, I'm going to leave it with this, and on the next installment, we'll start talking about adding some CSS to style it up.